Okay, so this is a question on theory of constraints, and the question is giving you direct labor total selling price without the cost is 200, and it's giving you direct labor hours available per day, direct materials, annual fixed manufacturing overhead, daily capacity, fixed and selling admin expense, and it has three processes: molding, heat transfer, and trimming. So you're required to find the throughput contribution per day when EEEK has a policy of not laying off idle workers, but instead finds other work for them to do so as maintenance on equipment. The company can sell all of it can produce. So what that means is that you have to look for, because it says what is the throughput contribution per day, so you have to look for the hours because all the units are in hours, so you have to stay consistent with that. I'm sure you know that. So total hours available in a day is supposed to be what? So see in the brackets it says 260 hours, 200 working days hour per year, and total hours a day is actually going to be 400 hours a day. So then the question is, find what is the throughput contribution per day, and you can only find that when you know how much is getting bottlenecked, which means that how much is over your capacity on producing and processing the minimum required units per day. So you have to look at the two lowest producing departments, which are at 400 units each. Heat transfers at 400 units each, and the trimming is also at 400 units each for our production on a daily basis. So you know that the throughput contribution in a day has to be 400 units. So now you got that figured out because of the lowest two producing departments, and you know that you can't go over that because that's what understanding the whole theory of constraint is about. In that theory of constraint, we have bottlenecks and we have capacity of a plant, and a bottleneck is pretty much when the capacity exceeds the current technology of producing the final product over capacity and its demand. At least that's how I understood it from various summaries in the book. So you can have a read in the textbook and rephrase it into however you want to understand it, but that's pretty much it. So what I like to do is I just like to write the question so I understand it better if I missed a detail. So here I rewrote it. So I also start working on it backwards. So I start with writing what is required. So in here we are looking for the contribution margin per day. So we have to work backwards. So basically I just rewrote down the question to understand it better. And then this is kind of like a little bit of math here, where you have to take the total capacity available versus what got sold. So that's the difference. The only difference was in molding. So I talked about the 400 units, how we got that per day. Those are the limiting factors of the theory of constraint, which is 400 units for the lowest department. So 400 units for each was it, and for the highest departments was 450, but we can't really decide if we can achieve that or not. So that's why we have to do contribution throughput formula and do the analysis like that. So the steps to do that is actually, first you have to find the lowest departments, which we already did, and then you have to take the 400 units, which was from the lowest departments of production, and divide that by 26 260 working days. And this is a simple formula that you can take the selling price to get your exact cost. So you have to take the selling price minus the direct labor minus direct materials, which will give you $80 per unit. So here's another analysis for that. So selling price originally was 200, and then you get direct materials at cost for the molding department. Then you take that off from the selling price, and you have to also subtract the next direct labor cost from the department, which is, I think that's the trimming department, that's the heat transfer department. So you take that off and you're still going to get 80. So there's two methods of doing it. You can do this from this formula, or you can do it like this. It's going to give you 80 per unit. And because at the beginning we decided that it's going to be 400 units production in a day, and you times that by $80, you're going to get $3,200. That sums it up. Just show the question one more time. And sometimes what I found out was that if you don't know how to solve a question, you can kind of work backwards. So what I did was like start with what's required in the question, and then go back, kind of like solve it like as a puzzle, and then work backwards. Because I know a lot of people doing this test have not touched any accounting work, any accounting exercises for like a couple years. So like it's good to warm up and try your best ways of solving it. So I also like Google some stuff about like the calculating throughput efficiency and all that, see if I could try to remember from my memory like how to solve the question. But if you can't solve it and you've tried all your ways to at least give it a solid attempt to solve it, you could just pick an option and work backwards and explain it to yourself how you got the answer. Okay guys, adios amigos, peace.